What's going on, guys? I'm Tyler, and I'm here to let you know that The Lighthouse is no perfect movie. And it centers around two lighthouse keepers in the late 1890s. One is a veteran played by Willem Dafoe, and the other is a first timer played by Robert Pattinson. And they slowly but surely begin to lose their minds when they're stranded on the island. And it doesn't help that neither one of them really trusts one another. A lot of people are saying that this is Robert Pattinson's best performance ever in his entire career, and while I personally enjoyed him a lot more in Good Time, this is still among his absolute best for sure. He's 100% subdued, always trying his best to keep to himself and say as little as possible, which becomes harder over the course of the movie when Dafoe, who is very outspoken and believes that there's only one way of doing things, whether it be work or socializing, just pushes him around on end to the point where Pattinson does become more vocal and does lash out, but it always feels earned, never too over the top. And this is the best Willem Dafoe has ever been in a long time. His accent was flawless, more so than Pattinson's, oddly enough, but we'll get to why later. And his physical expressions combined with his very slimy yet confident line delivery make it really hard to make him out at first, because at the beginning, he's just a bully to Pattinson, and you feel like you have your mind made up about him that he's the villain, but when Pattinson starts lashing out and becoming more aggressive, you kind of wonder whether or not Dafoe is actually justified in being this hard ass, whether or not he's a bully or just the tough but fair individual. This movie also has some of the best cinematography that I have seen all year. Each shot feels meticulously crafted to not focus on just cutting back and forth between actors all the time. There are a lot of medium shots that show us all the information that we need in just one scene, or if we need to expand upon that, there are these very swift and fluid camera movements that feel like distinct shots all by themselves. The use of symmetry to make each individual moment feel as if it could be a portrait is immaculate, and the black and white filming was so seamless that you view it as if it were a color movie. There's no real distinction. The lighting and the shadows really loom over the actors physically and add to the moral ambiguity of the characters and the messages of the movie, because there is a lot of ambiguity in this movie. There are some clear-cut answers, and some of it works and some of it doesn't. The themes that work well for me, and this is just my interpretation, center around morals that accompany religion and myths. Questions such as who gets to decide what is and what isn't morally sound, how do you enforce those rules, what happens to sinners who rebel against them, and if so, are they justified or not, are what, for me anyways, interpreting what I saw on screen, really added to the tension of the movie, as well as the scares when they do happen, because, as some people have said, they don't really view it as a scary movie, they view it as a drama with horror elements, and I can understand that, but here's the thing for me. Horror can either be dramatic or comedic, and some people say, well, what about horror thrillers? I can understand why you would say that, but at the same time, thrillers have a lot of dramatic heft to it, so I really don't view it as being all that separate. This is a horror drama, and I feel like people view horror as if it's his own thing, and for me, I don't really see it that way. The parts that I struggle with, and I just want to make this clear, if you see this movie and have a different interpretation, that's obviously going to work out great for you, but what I had a tough time with is how incredibly specific some of these references are. Because if you can craft a screenplay where you reference mythological and religious stuff, but if you've never read a myth or ever read a Bible or something like that, but you still love the movie and the ideas, then that's a really good thing. And for the most part, this movie does have that, but there are certain scenes, certain crucial scenes that you would be completely lost without knowing what these characters are talking about, and as a result, you're not going to tense up or feel afraid for either one of the characters. It's great that Robert and Max Eggers, who wrote the screenplay, are well versed in mythology and are acknowledging older, much more timeless classics, but not every audience member can, and not every audience member will. But considering these guys wrote the script out of their own passion, I'm more than positive they're okay with that. But the big problem that I had with The Lighthouse, and this is an exact same problem that I had with The Witch, is that the Eggers brothers made the choice to go, like, 110% authentic on, like, the dialogue that comes with the late 1890s, and I don't really think it's necessary, because for half of the movie, I could not understand anything that was coming out of Willem Dafoe or Robert Pattinson's mouth, and they both had really thick accents to incorporate into the characters, which didn't always work out either. And look, I'm not suggesting that in the late 1890s there should be someone who says, yo, dude, pass that over, or hey, man, what's up? Like, I'm not that kind of guy. I usually don't like stuff like that, but at the same time, we know what we're watching is a fictional movie, and considering this is an art house film with a lot of things that are subjective and certain things that aren't, I feel like we could have a little bit of suspension and disbelief and have characters talk in maybe like dialect, vocabulary, grammar that was at least 20 years afterwards. I feel like you could have made that happen and it wouldn't have made that big a difference. But all in all, I'm still glad that I saw The Lighthouse. All of the praise about the aesthetics and the performances are well deserved, and I hope that we see more movies like this in the future. It's just the screenplay that I had gripes with. But like I said, it'll be entirely up to you if and when you see it, if those are gripes. So, for that reason, I'm going to give The Lighthouse a 3.5 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Be sure to let me know in the comments below what you thought of The Lighthouse. And be sure to like, subscribe, check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com. Take care.